We're one stop away from AT&T Stadium in the 6A and 5A Texas High School Football State Playoffs. These are the picks. Welcome into the picks presented by Visit Arlington, your guide to the Texas High School Football Weekend. My name is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the 20th week that I've done this. The 20th week that I've done this for the 2020-2021 season because, look, here we are at the state semifinals. This has been the longest Texas high school football season ever, but we've reached a really critical moment. I mean, teams are punching their tickets to AT&T Stadium this week. Teams are making history this week. Teams are etching their names in Texas high school football lore this week. And I don't know the last time I was this hyped about 8 particular state semifinals. I mean, this is a terrific, terrific slate from 6A Division I all the way to 5A Division II. We're going to preview every single one of them. We're going to go from smallest bracket to the biggest bracket. We start in Denton. 7 o'clock Friday night at Apogee Stadium in Denton. It's a 5A Division II state semifinal between the Aledo Bearcats and the Wichita Falls Raiders. Wichita Falls Rider is here after winning Region 1 thanks in large part to 2 things. 1, an outstanding defense. Been fantastic all year long, and I really do think they're playing their best football right now. And 2, Jacob Rodriguez. This kid is awesome and a fantastic football player, a guy who could put the team on his back, put on the cape, and take them anywhere they want to go. I think this kid is a super-duper star. Now they're going up against Aledo, and Aledo is the standard, right? They are the standard in 5A, at least in 5A Division II, and what they've been able to do has been really remarkable. Reloading on the fly, using their big-time playmakers like DeMarco Roberts and JoJo Earl. They got a big scare last week against Lovejoy, but they showed that kind of heart of a champion type stuff, coming back and bringing home a victory, thanks in large part to their special teams. I think a lot of this game comes down to pace. Wichita Falls Rider in the past, when they have played Aledo, including in 2018 when a lot of the teams that for Rider was sophomores, they got blown out of the water simply because Aledo ran away and hit. They jumped out to an early lead and it was over by the time the first quarter was over. Can Rider's defense hold them in this? The lower scoring game benefits Rider in this game. In the end, though, I think Aledo's got too many weapons. I think they've got too much speed, too many individual game breakers to bring this thing home. I think that this game is close, but I do think that Aledo goes back to defend their crown. 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Merrill Green Stadium in Bryan. It's a 5A Division II state semifinal between the Crosby Cougars and the Liberty Hill Panthers. I sit here in this chair every week, and I wear this microphone, and I speak into the camera, and I tell you very confidently what's going to happen in games, right? That's what I do. I look really arrogant when I'm sitting here. Let me just tell you, I have no read on this game. Like none. I've tried to figure it out. I've tried to sort through. I've tried to talk to people, and I just can't figure it out. This is one of the most baffling games we've seen in a long time, simply because there's so many different variables. Take a look at Liberty Hill, for example. This is a team that ran for 717 yards last week against Sherilyn Pioneer behind Trey Seward and Blake Simpson. The offensive line is cooking. They have been unbelievable. They run the slot T with the explosiveness of an air raid. It is absurd how good this offense is. But their defense got torched last week by Sherilyn Pioneer, and they got torched the week before by Leander Rouse through the air. And that is a big problem for Liberty Hill because now they're facing a team with big-time weapons in Crosby. Daniquez Dunn, their quarterback, has been fantastic. They're moving Reggie Branch around, quarterback, running back, receiver. He is a game breaker wherever you line him up. And by the way, Crosby's defense, I think, is playing their best football right now. So it's really hard to tell because you get a week to plan for the slot T, but the defense is playing really well. Crosby's got these explosive playmakers, but it feels like Liberty Hill can keep up with them because the way they run their offense, I don't know. I don't know. I've tried to sort this through in my mind. I've gone back and forth. I think I lean towards Crosby. I think their defense is playing a little bit better right now. I think they're able to come up with a couple of stops, and I think that Daniquez Dunn and Reggie Branch come through with a couple big plays. But don't listen to me. I think Crosby gets the win, but who knows? 7 o'clock Friday night at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. It's a Class 5A Division I state semifinal between the Denton Ryan Raiders and the Mansfield Summit Jaguars. Yeah, Mansfield Summit. The team that finished 4th in their district. The team that arguably finished 5th in their district. They're here. They won Region 1. They beat everybody. They made it to the state semifinals. I mean, this is one of the most remarkable stories we've seen in a long time. I mean, this is just the third team to play in a state semifinal in the last 10 years that finished fourth in their district. And what Coach Channonhall has done has been remarkable. Their defense, it's bend, don't break. They come up with the big plays at the big time, and they have a bunch of big-time playmakers with David Hopkins, their quarterback, and wide receiver Hal Presley. And that, to me, has been so impressive to watch. Here's Denton Ryan. Denton Ryan got over the hump last week when they beat Highland Park, got that big win. It's got to feel really good for them. And I don't need to tell you who they've got. They've got Jatavian Sanders, who is a freak show. They've got Billy Bowman. They've got Bear Alexander. They've got Seth Hennigan. They've got DJ Arkansas. I mean, they are absolutely loaded. This is a matchup where I think it comes down to whether or not the Mansfield Summit offensive line can hold up against this big, physical, ferocious, athletic defensive line for Denton Ryan. And that is basically the whole ball game. That's one of the things here is that Mansfield Summit recently has relied on kind of outscoring people. They've had big plays after big plays, and it's been unbelievable to watch them progress through. Can they get past what's been one of the sturdiest defenses in the state? I think this game is going to be interesting, but I do think that Denton Ryan is the favorite here. I think the Raiders move on to the state championship. 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Alamo Stadium in San Antonio. It's 5A Division I state semifinal between the Cedar Park Timberwolves and the Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial Eagles. Let's take a moment to remember something about Corpus Christi Vets, okay? They're in their 5th year of varsity play. 5th year, and they're already here in a state semifinal. What a remarkable job this program has done, building itself up from literally nothing to within a half decade playing in a state semifinal. A big part of that comes down to their quarterback play with Carter Centerfit, what he's been able to do, really distributing the ball to a variety of different playmakers outside the offensive line has held up, and their defense has been really good recently. Now they're taking on Cedar Park, and I think Cedar Park is going to be the best team that Vets has played by a relatively substantive margin. I mean, this is a different ball club. Cedar Park looks fantastic, especially offensively. Ryder Hernandez is on a different level. That's what you get whenever you have a 3-year starter at the quarterback spot. He has been sensational. Now, look, last week, the Black Rain defense did get touched up by Manville. And so I think there are going to be plays there for Corpus Christi Vets to make. But I think that Cedar Park's path has been tougher. I think they are a little bit more battle-tested. I think they've seen a team like Corpus Christi Vets before. I'm not sure Vets has seen a team like Cedar Park before. I think the Timberwolves move on to the state championship game. 1 o'clock Saturday at McKinney ISD Stadium. It's a 6A Division II state semifinal between the Denton Guyer Wildcats and the Cedar Hill Longhorns. I wonder if these two teams have played before. Of course, I'm being facetious. If you go back to last year's playoffs, these teams played one of the most remarkable games we've seen in a long, long time, because Cedar Hill took a 41-14 lead late into the third quarter. I mean, I think there were 5 minutes left in the third quarter. They were up 41-14 until Guyer rattled off 36 unanswered and won the game 50-41. I mean, just an unbelievable game, and a lot of credit to what Guyer was able to do. But also, look, Cedar Hill feels like they spit the bit. Plain and simple. They feel like they choked that game away by not recovering onside kicks, by not coming up with big plays. They've wanted another shot at Guyer, and they get it this week. All eyes are going to be on the quarterbacks, right? Caden Salter for Cedar Hill, Eli Stowers for Denton Guyer. Both of them are sensational. I think the game comes down to the other pieces. I think it comes down to the supporting cast, so to speak. Can Cedar Hill get the running game going? Can they get that big offensive line pushing? Can the defensive line come up with big plays? Furthermore, for Eli Stowers and company, can Guyer come up with another playmaker besides Stowers? In a lot of ways, they've really asked him to put on the cape, especially late in games, and go and win this. They're going to need a big game from their defense, and they're going to need 1 or 2 other playmakers to step up in this game. In the end, the advantage goes to Cedar Hill for me because of their team speed. I think they've got enough playmakers on the outside to make the plays necessary to bring home a close win and avenge last year's loss. I think Cedar Hill's headed for AT&T Stadium. 2 o'clock Saturday at McLean Stadium in Waco. It's a 6A Division II state semifinal between the Katy Tigers and the Buda Hayes Consolidated Rebels. This is a vintage Katy team. This is what you expect when you see a Gary Joseph coached Tigers squad. They run the ball really, really well with Seth Davis and Jalen Davis. They get enough passing from Caleb Koger their quarterback, and then their defense is suffocating. I mean, that's just been the name of the game for Gary Joseph, one of the best coaches in Texas high school football history. Plain and simple, they have looked the part of a state championship contender. Well, here's Hayes, right? Hayes is actually, of the 16 teams remaining, the only team that started the year unranked in Dave Campbell's Texas football. And what a credit to Les Goat and what he has been able to do with what's really an inventive offense. They're kind of in that pistol slot T, and Durand Hill, their young quarterback, has really stepped up in a big way. They're actually throwing the ball relatively effectively, and that has been a big reason why they're here. Last week against Vandegrift, they came up with key turnovers to turn the tide. They are going to need that in a big, big way this week because for Hayes, their defense has been, in my opinion, their second best unit on the squad. They will need to play their best game yet to match up with Katy. I think the Tigers have been in big situations like this. I think they thrive on the big stage, and that's why I think Katy moves on to the state championship game. 3 o'clock Saturday at Globe Life Park in Arlington. It's a Class 6A Division I state semifinal between the Southlake Carroll Dragons and the Duncanville Panthers. And if you like brand names, well, here you go. Here are two of the most decorated programs in Texas high school football, two of the premier names in Texas high school football. You know, Southlake Carroll has one of the most premier quarterbacks in Texas high school football, Quinn Ewers, who he's back from injury and has been somehow better than before he got injured. I mean, unbelievable what he's been able to put together. Last week against Euless Trinity, he was razor sharp in their big win over the Trojans, hooking up with Brady Boyd a ridiculous number of times and really running away from this Trinity team. You know, when you look at Duncanville, this is a team that I think their offense has started to grow up with quarterback Grayson James and wide receiver Roderick Daniels. But furthermore, I think that it remains the same. That front seven is just so menacing. The playmakers they have up front are just dominating people, led by linebacker Kendrick Blacksher, and that is going to be the big challenge for Southlake Carroll. I think this game really, truly comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that is if the Carroll offensive line can keep Quinn Ewers clean. Because look, if there's a weakness to Duncanville, it's in their secondary. There are plays to be made against the Duncanville secondary, but it doesn't matter if you're on your back. And that's the big question. Can Carroll protect the Ewers enough? Give him enough time to operate. If he can, Carroll's got a great chance to win this game. But in the end, I think the explosive playmakers for Duncanville and that ferocious front seven win the day. I think the Panthers head back to AT&T Stadium. And 2 o'clock Saturday at Legacy Stadium in Katy, it's a 6A Division I state semifinal between the North Shore Mustangs and the Westlake Chaparrals. It's a meeting between the two defending 6A state champions. It's a meeting of two of the best coaches in the state, in John Kay and Jaw Dodge. I mean, this game's got a little bit of everything. But I don't want to talk about Demetrius Davis. I don't want to talk about Chadrick Banks. I don't want to talk about Cade Klubnik. I don't want to talk about Jaden Greathouse. I don't want to talk about that awesome defense for North Shore, which has really grown up. A bunch of juniors who I think are a lot better than they showed at the beginning of the season. I don't want to talk about the Westlake defense, which has been absolutely fantastic all year long. Here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about Willie Gaston against Tony Salazar. And maybe you don't know those two names. Willie Gaston's the offensive coordinator and play caller for North Shore, and he is a maestro out there. He has done a fantastic job taking all of their weapons and moving them around to get them favorable matchups and hit big play after big play. Of course, it helps to have guys like Shad Banks and Demetrius Davis back there, but make no mistake, that is a maestro working there. Going up against maybe the best defensive coordinator in the country, in Tony Salazar for Westlake, who has consistently been one of the best defensive minds in the state. This guy knows what he's doing, and he's a big reason why the Chaps are so successful. Go talk to Todd Dodge. He'll say the same thing. This is a remarkable clash of titans between two of the brightest assistant minds in the state. So where do you fall on it, right? It's really hard to call. In the end, I think North Shore does what they do by wearing people down. And I think that is where their advantage is going to be. I think sometimes football is really simple. North Shore is bigger than Westlake, just physically bigger. And I also think that they're a little bit faster than Westlake. And I think that's going to end up being the difference. I think this game is close and absolutely fascinating. But I think North Shore goes back to defend their crown. And those are the picks. What am I wrong about? Leave comments down below. Don't forget that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbells. And of course, see us at texasfootball.com, where you can find complete coverage of the 2020 Texas High School Football Playoffs at texasfootball.com/state. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the state semifinals of the 6A and 5A playoffs. Be safe, wear a mask. We'll see you.